All right, so here we are today with a guide to winning Adventures in Cardboard Hard Tactical, given by a veteran champion of Hard Tactical. A simple meta guide to conquering your day/week at Hard Tactical. So here are my credentials for Hardtack. I was part of the beta test that we did last summer of 2021, and it went extraordinarily well. We snowballed super hard. We were the largest power faction. We got set up first. We were the first faction in the realm, and we just used that to our massive advantage. And if you've seen these videos, you know how well it went, but here's a video, if you haven't seen those, that really personifies what happened that week.
Guys, I'm recording this video on my phone. I don't have a lot of storage space left, but here's what we got from Hard Tactical, well, over the course of the week. And a shield.
Yeah, so you can see there, I was walking past all those swords. We only ever made like 5 or 10 swords, and we ended up with well over 30. 30 swords, and then tons of other armor, 2 pauldrons, a chest piece, lots and lots of other stuff.
Tons more bamboo, tons more resource cards, stapler, 2 knives, bunch of sharpies. We have bow, 3 arrows, a bunch of knives.
So, like I was saying there was literally resources we didn't need to use. We stopped manufacturing new weapons because we were collecting so many from other people because we were just snowballing so well. So that's our credentials from the week. It worked out really well, and it's all because we had a very effective strategy going in, and that's the strategy I'm going to be giving to you in this presentation. So based on the strategy evolved out of my win condition. And essentially my win condition is being the strongest power faction. And the strongest power faction is the most dominant force in the realm, takes the most flags from other members, and most importantly, more than these, well, I mean, these two are sort of synonymous, but you have to snowball. Snowballing the hardest, or gathering the most stuff from other players. If you snowball as a power faction in Hardtack, you're just so incredibly guaranteed to win. And I'll go on to describe what snowballing is in the next slide. That is the master plan. This is essentially our strategy. This is what we did, and this is how we won. So, as the game starts, the first step is run off into the forest and start doing these 3 things as fast as possible. Looking for members for your faction. I believe the faction member cap is 6, I think it is, and maybe you can add 2 more, but I think 6 is the initial cap. You have to look for 5 other friends. You have to look for your resource cards, and you have to gather renown for your faction. You need to do this all as fast as possible, and ideally faster than everyone else. Because as soon as you have all of your renown and all of your resource cards, and of course all of your other friends, once you have your friends' resources, start your faction as soon as possible. This is very, very, very important. The faster you start your faction, if you're especially the first one, you're so... Oh, got my alarm. You're so much more likely to snowball. You just have such a massive advantage if you're number 1 out of the gate. So as soon as you have your area, especially if you are the first faction, begin making one-handed swords before anything else. Manufacture like 10 or 12, so like more than 1 for each one of your members, because ideally you outfit everyone with the best low-level gear, which is 2 one-handed swords, and you send them out into the realm, and as soon as possible begin applying pressure and preventing other players from gathering resources and renown or starting factions of their own. The more you can sandbag every other player, the easier it is for you to snowball. Essentially what I mean by snowballing is defeating all of the other weak players because you have the advantage, because you're a power faction, and stealing all of their stuff, because in Hard Tactical, all their gear and resources drop on death. And so you just keep defeating them, stealing other stuff, defeating them, stealing other stuff, and you end up amassing more and more and more and more and more stuff until you outgear everyone so much that you win all conflicts by default. In our Hard Tactical experience, I'll go back up here, at about this time, I think we got rated as 5 fighters and 1 manufacturer. So a 5-member fighting team. I think we were rated by like 18 to 20 players. So we essentially fought a 1v4 or a 5v20, and we won, and it wasn't even close because all of our members had armor and good swords, and all of their members pretty much only had daggers or like some swords. But it was so crazy how we won a massively outnumbered attack because we just had all the gear. And then after we won that attack and we got all the swords from the attackers, the next attack they launched was massively underpowered because they didn't have any more swords left in reserve because we had already drained them dry because we were the first strong power faction. So as soon as you can start kind of like keeping the snowballing going, anyone who snowballs that strong is just guaranteed to win. This is the secret sauce. This is how you win a week of hard tactical. So some other little fun considerations that are very important, but sort of go hand in hand with snowballing. So at hard tactical, you have to base all of your construction ideas on this idea that weapons drop on death and everything that you make can one day be used against you. So all of the weapons, all of the armor, all of the gear that you create has to be easy enough to defeat by you that you could get it back if your opponent kills you like through an unfair way, if they backstab you or if they 4v1 you or something like that. If they get some of your stuff, you have to be able to get it back. So you can't make anything too crazy because there's a good chance you'll lose it. And so in that way, hardtack meta gear looks more like this and much less like this. This is regular tactical gear. This is my stupendous width armor. It's extremely powerful. It's very, very hard to make, but not at all good for hard tactical because I get stabbed in the back with a dagger one time and then I would have to try to fight this again, which would just be so incredibly difficult to do. This is a lot better because the chest plate and the arms are super easy to make, and the one pauldron we have here is literally just like folded 3 times and stapled. So all very, very fast armor to make, and specifically the arm armor is arguably the best armor in the game because at an actual tactical week years ago, I wrote out a couple scrolls by watching I watched a Killmeister, and I kept note of where people were tagged, and the most common cause of death was by one-handed swords to the forearm. And the second most common was vanguards to the back, but like the forearms are extremely vulnerable. And so as a hard tactical fighter, if you can find a very cheap way of protecting them very, very early on by making just simple arm armor like this, you'll be so much ahead, and it'll just help the snowball just go. It'll glide like oil. It'll just be so much easier to progress. So simple arm armor, simple one-handed swords, because you got to make sure that you'll be able to get them back from anyone if they take them from you. But this kind of is the meta, most effective tactic available gear for hard tactical. And it's different than regular tactical. It kind of asks for ease of construction, low time, so high time efficiency, strong, but not strong enough that you couldn't get it back. And very, very easy to manufacture. And also, okay, this gets a little bit more specific, but it has to be size so that you or other members of your team could potentially wear it. That's another thing that kind of goes into it. Ideally, you have a suit of armor for each member, but if one member gets killed and their armor gets lost, you have to be able to swap out who's in your combat team and give them different weapons and armor. So that's why you just make a ton of swords so that anyone can grab any 2 swords and just run off into the woods and start applying pressure, which is what they need to be doing pretty much the whole time. And the armor should go double for that. But again, more important than weapons and armor meta, gear meta, snowballing is more important than anything else you do. You need to be maintaining the snowball. You need to be applying pressure, keeping everyone poor, because the poor do get poorer in AIC. Well, in hard tactical at least. Being a hedge knight is fun, but winning is funner, and the only good way of winning is by snowballing. So you need to be doing that. It's very important. And again, to effectively snowball, you must be in a power faction. If you're undermanned and other weaker factions are able to routinely deprive you of your resources by taking more advantageous attacks or more advantageous battles, they're able to defeat you in detail and drain you of your resources, you are not able to snowball. Or if little hedge knights one by one are able to kill your members and take your stuff, that's not a good snowball. You have to be a strong faction, take strong attacks, go in, apply pressure, kill people, steal all their stuff, and if you do that, you can underpower them and prevent them from actually rising up against you and stealing your stuff again. So effectively snowballing is really only well done in a power faction, and the only way to become a power faction is by making it early. If you make your faction early, it increases your chances of winning by like 1,000%. It is effectively the only way to win. Trying to oppress all other people in the game as like a solo hedge knight or as like a two-man faction is extremely difficult. Really only by being a max capacity faction and by starting out at very, very early, beginning the snowball first, making the first swords in the realm. Because again, at this hard tactical week, I made the first sword in the realm, I made the first shield in the realm, and I think I also I definitely made the first armor in the realm. Like I was all of those firsts. And because of all of those things, we were just able to snowball so much harder than every other team. It was incredible. It was a great week. I haven't made the last video about the last day, but because a lot of my footage was really stupid from that day. But these first 3 videos really well show the early stages of a snowball and pretty much exactly detail how we went through this strategy and how it definitely allowed us to win. And the Instagram video you saw at the start showed that we definitely won hands down that week. It was pretty devastating for everyone else. So I could choose to go over this. Here's a little bit more sort of background general information. Hardtack is based off, I think, Rust, but it shares a lot of similarities with a Minecraft game mode called HCF. So if you want to do some due diligence and look into HCF, here are 2 YouTubers that I like and subscribe to that I want to base my content around kind of like how they base theirs. They record a couple of videos each week. I want to make videos pretty much every week for all of the weeks I attend at AIC this summer, and I want to kind of copy their style of content. And Hardtack is very, very like the game they play. So if you want to go look into that, you can. But really, this is the only strategy you need to know. This is the most important stuff. If you follow this, this is kind of the secret sauce. If you do this well, faster, and better than everyone else, you will win Hard Tactical. This is an extremely good strategy, and it did us very, very well. If you follow this, you're nigh on guaranteed to win. And that's it for me today. Adventures in Cardboard, as always, here's their website, Instagram, and YouTube. They came out with a bunch of new merch, and they have a ton of new designs, and I'm going to be showing a couple of them off. This is actually, I think, a parody of a old, like, 14th century, well, maybe earlier, because they're Crusader, they had chainmail. But it's a parody on a old medieval work of art. So buy their stuff if you like it. I don't have any merch. You can't support me. I'm doing this for free because I think it's fun. But yeah, subscribe if you like it, and thanks for stopping by and watching. I hope you share this video, and if you enjoy the strategy and the content behind it, I hope you share it with other people who also enjoy it to grow the channel, because I think it's fun. And I'm going to be making a ton of content this summer. Hope it all pans out, but that's it for me for today. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you later.